Hello, this is Jamie, and welcome to another Small Business News Report by Supplier T News. Today we're going to be discussing the new Alignable survey of 10,000 small businesses and talk about, as you can see at the title here, the road to recovery. So what do these small businesses say are the major concerns moving forward as we're moving, into the summer of 2021? With that being said, as always, if you like the content that we provide, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do produce more information like this, focusing on small and diverse businesses. In addition, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like and leave a comment as well. Let us know how we're doing. And if you know of other people who may like this type of content, make sure you share the video as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I read through this, excuse me, I read through this a couple times, and as you can see here in the top, it's really kind of going over the bulk of this report, which is, as you can see, financial impact sees major reduction, resurgence of fully open small businesses, as we're seeing with states opening back up. The big concern here, we're going to get into it, is will customers return to their pre-levels, so before March 2020? Jeez, excuse me about that. And lastly, how will inflation impact recovery? So at the very beginning with the report review, the main piece here that you have to understand is this month's data was collected from March 27th to March 31st among about 10,000 small business owners. So over 10,000 small businesses did respond to the survey, and they took this information in order to create this report. So they kind of break it down in a couple of different ways. The first piece, we're going to go line by line here, or section by section, I should say. First up is that the impact level improves dramatically. So significant impact decreases by 20% to 38%, but still 75% still experiencing negative effects. So if we take a look at this chart, because each section kind of has a chart that goes along with it, and then right up under that, they do have an explanation of what this chart means. So you kind of do an overview chart, and then an explanation of what the chart means, and they kind of continue to go through that. But if we take a look more specifically in terms of what this chart is stating, as you can see, it's just talking about what impact are you currently experiencing from the crisis. And as you can see, it's really impacting my business. While it's almost 40%, that's actually a huge drop. So as you can see, it kind of was a shot up right after the summer of 2020. But regardless, or I'm sorry, right after late of last year. But as you can see, it's dramatically shifted, right? So the impact is on the decline, as well as it's really impacting my business. Has really dropped, right? So gotten that drop from over 50% to under 40%, and now the impact is declining, is almost up to 30%. So a really good chart here when we're talking about the impact and how it's changed. There's also a quick explanation about what's going on in Canada, which I thought was pretty interesting. As you can see here, while roughly 30% of the U.S. population has received at least one vaccination dose, this number is less than 10% in Canada. So pretty interesting in terms of what we're combating, the U.S. versus Canada, and how that may impact small businesses. Obviously a positive impact because more people are getting vaccinated. This allows more people to go out and states to open up quicker. Next up, and though 75% of businesses still report some negative impact, the shift from significant to declining is the big story there. So we already talked about that. Next up, just kind of a summary of what we spoke about before. So instead of just showing the column graph, they break it down into a pie chart, as well as some kind of quotes about kind of what they're seeing when it comes to the recovery, self-employment, things like that. Next up, let's discuss the inflation. So what is the issue with the inflation, and how are companies dealing with this? So as you can see here, 30% of small businesses have 1 month or less of cash. It's pretty interesting. Where is it? Well, last month this percentage was 44%, which that had a month or less, and now it's at 30%, which was on par before March 2020. So it appears as if, in terms of cash on hand, we are back to original levels, which is really good. However, there are concerns over the cost of supplies increasing, right, because of inflation. I mean, that's really a big concern, as more money is being pumped into the economy. a lot of people do fear that costs will rise because of that. In addition, well, in my last couple of videos, I have talked about the plan to potentially raise taxes from 21% to 28%. That could also be a big fear, especially as that news has come out in the past couple of weeks / month. People could also be fearing that could impact supplies as well. With that being said, while it is a rising concern, it's only, as you can see here, it's only around 17%. So a little less than 1 in 5 small businesses are concerned about that. Again, it's growing, but it's nowhere near half or even the majority. So I can see why they would put that it's growing, but I would honestly consider that for right now, until it reaches about 25%, 1 in 4. I would say that isn't a big concern. While growing, it isn't a big concern for small businesses just yet. And again, that might change as the administration for the U.S. government kind of pushes their agenda more and more, which does include increase in certain taxes. Okay, reopening status. So the really big piece here is, as you can see, let me find that chart. I've got like a ton of charts open. Let me just close these. As you can see here, when fully open, the same products, when fully open with same products and services, right? So basically what this is saying is, when do companies project that they'll be able to fully open with the same amount of products and services? And the bulk of this, as you can see, almost 50% are saying that it's going to be later than July 2021. Basically, from what I've been reading through, it appears as if everybody's projecting the summer. And that makes sense, right? Because most states, especially, I think the latest state I've heard is California, that said they're going to open up in around, what is it, like June or the summer? I know it's early summer, or it might be sometime in the summer, right? And, with California being, the largest state, or one of the largest states in terms of population, I believe it's the largest state. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of small businesses there. So as you're looking at states like California and New York, who make up the bulk of these small businesses, it makes sense that the majority of people are saying, well, when those states open up, that's when we'll go back to doing what we were doing. Moving downward, as you can see here, this is more so when we're talking about the businesses that have not reopened fully yet. However, the percentage of fully reopened businesses rebounded nicely this month after a 5-month slide, jumping above 60% for the first time since October. So as you can see, as states are opening up, businesses are also opening up as well, and that makes sense, right? So as we move down, some of the greatest recovery concerns. The big piece that I saw here, and we're going to kind of skip over a couple of things, but the big piece is, are customers going to come back the way that they were before March 2020? So let's kind of skip over here. Customer demand, right? Customer demand rebounds from last month. The million-dollar question: will customers return? So let's take a look at this, right? As we can see here, customers versus March 2020 levels, right? So if we kind of open this up and we take a look at it, as you can see, people who are under the 25%, versus, before this happened, versus people who are like over 90%. So while we have almost 30%, or over 25%, I should say, that are almost back to full capacity, the bulk of these, so either you have 50% or less, 50% or less, that's 20 plus 25%. That's almost half of the businesses that are barely reaching 50% of their level versus March 2020, before everything happened. That is a major concern. While we have companies that are fully reopened, the customers have not come back just yet, and once again, that is a concern that is really big here. So as we kind of move forward, obviously with customers not returning, it's going to affect your revenue, right? The big issue with everything that went on since March 2020 is that a lot of customers, or a lot of consumers, pretty much figured out that they can just order things online, right? And now, since we've been doing it for a year or so, people have become, basically, we've learned new habits. So now the concern is, now that things are opening back up, will people be willing to go back out and purchase and essentially learn new habits? There's a theory here that, well, not a theory, but there's an interesting saying here about how small businesses are now becoming startups, right? Because they basically have to reconvince all potential consumers to come back out and show why they should come back out and purchase from them, kind of on a day-to-day level. As you can see here, here's the revenue data showing a return to January levels. In most cases, as we hopefully start to see customer levels improve, we anticipate seeing revenue levels follow. So the revenue levels, customers are returning where they may, but they're still spending less, right? Let's go ahead and let's take a look at that chart real quick. So as we can see, while they're returning, the bulk of these are spending. Once again, we're around that 50% mark that are spending 50% or less, and that is just such a blow to small businesses, right? Like, just even when the customers are coming back, they're not spending the way that they used to, and that will be a struggle, a very serious struggle, kind of moving forward. Probably the biggest struggle I see coming on. So again, just more quotes in terms of this pieces, and then last piece that I want to talk about is the hiring. When it comes to small businesses. So this is actually probably the best news when it comes to small businesses, and that is the fact that hiring is pretty up, right? So it's about 82% to where it was before the pandemic. And as you can see here, by the end of August, small businesses expect to achieve about 98% pre-March 2020, which essentially is almost full capacity if you ask me. So what we're seeing is that the hiring is at a positive. So that's the good news. However, the really worry here is, while there's some inflation worry, the really big issue is our customers going to come back. And as of right now, they aren't. And when they are coming back, they're only spending up to half of what they were spending before. So these are issues that we're going to have to figure out how to deal with. Again, based on the push of everything that we're doing, it does appear as if we're going to be someone in a good position come the summer. We should be fully opened up, but at that time, we're really going to see kind of where consumers are at, and hopefully this does benefit small businesses. But as of right now, the news is not good. But again, we got a long time for consumers to relearn patterns, and hopefully that does happen over the next couple of months. Okay, so with that being said, I want to thank everybody for keeping with us and tuning in. Hopefully you made it this far. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the video, or subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, like the video, and share with other people who you think may be interested in this information. As always, thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.